Great. Welcome everyone to another localized event. If you are new to our platform, we are a global community where we connect students and recent graduates to job opportunities and career resources. And part of those career resources are our amazing pool of experts who come every week here to guide you on a different variety of topics and to share their experiences and their tips to help you start your career or maybe change your career if you're already working. So as you might know, today we're going to be talking about how to become a solutions architect after graduation. We have here our expert, Abdullah Hushan. He has 17 years of experience in the field of technology and digital products, and he has contributed to the establishment of several companies. And so currently he works as a senior solutions architect at Amazon Web Services in the Saudi Arabia office. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about it. We're gonna be talking about tips, lessons he has learned during his journey. And if you have any questions, again, about the topic, about his journey in a specific, or even about your own journey, and how you're starting or any challenges you're facing while you maybe are graduating from college, you're not a little lost on how to get a job. Any questions are welcome. We will answer them all at the end. So send the questions on the Q&A function that is at the bottom of your Zoom, or send them directly in the chat, and we will be covering both. So yeah, so we're gonna start the session. So welcome, and thank you again for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
And to start with, I would like to ask you actually if you can introduce yourself and share a little bit of your background and journey in general, and how did you end up basically at your current position? What was that journey?
Sure. Well, thank you for this introduction and thank you for Localized for having me. And I'm very glad actually to meet everyone. Uh, I started when my dad brought a computer to the house. He didn't know what to do with it, and I was very young, and I got so passionate. I used to play soccer, like football outside all the time. But since we got the computer in the house, I was so amazed with the things that I can do with. So I got hooked with, I had a very passion with technology. Since starting like knowing, figuring out, trying to since childhood to be a problem solver. I love to solve problems and build things and try to get things. And you know, I live in Saudi Arabia. You get a couple of hours you can play outside. Otherwise, it's too hot, so you cannot actually stay outside all the time. So computer at that time it was very good, a place to start. So I get very engaged and want to learn like exactly how things works, how to build programs, how to build application, how to utilize it. Then I got the internet and I start knowing that you can build website, you can host things, people can visit them. Then that's why I got introduced to something called hosting website and how to build a website or how to build an application or something that people interact with you with. Uh, so I'm a self learner. I loved to learn. There was great community of open source and project that even before YouTube, people will put blogs, put posts to teach you how to actually about latest technologies and to things and how to do them. So I'll follow. And I used to subscribe to some magazines, PC magazines and things. So that's I start like knowing that actually there is something called infrastructure and you need to have servers and like when you use the ATM at the beginning, where is that connected? And there's something called mainframe. So it progressed until I went to college for computer science and math. That's what led me to actually major in this field. So I learned more and I have this great foundation about computer science specifically. After graduation, I worked as an IT manager since because I was working while I was studying. So when I graduated, I already had some experience while doing that. Um, Worked for 3 years. Then I went to software development life cycle, delivering softwares, platforms, for government and semi-government. And that was my main focus. After that, since I had three kind of areas um, that I'm very spend a lot of time with was infrastructure and software development and also IoTs. Uh, that made me very appealing for me. The next move to will be in a broader role as an individual contributor to be in a solution architect. So that's when I tried to actually apply, since I love Amazon, I love AWS, and I love the web service and the cloud in general. And because it's evolving and the latest technology is always now happening and get deployed to the cloud, that what made me to try multiple times to join AWS until I got in 2 years ago.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's amazing. Not all of us have that experience, but I have heard from like people doing like technical stuff that they didn't knew since they were kids, but they had some like interest around it. So
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting how that develops during your as you grow.
So
Um,
I'm not too old. I'm almost like 37 now. But I remember when I start like get involved, the day that I know the magazines will show up at the house, I'll skip school. I'll fake that I'm actually sick or anything because they used to send like floppy disk and CDs
mm,
with the magazines, and they will have the latest programs, applications. They give you the
oh.
demo of some of the things. So I'll stay because I'll just wait for the driver to drop like the magazine to the house because this is how we used to get the information.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. I just forgot about them. Maybe it depends on the age of some of our attendees. Maybe they haven't experienced that. But I did leave that.
Uh,
Um, yeah, so I do have two follow-up questions. So
Good.
one is, so once you decided like what to study in college, and then you graduate, I'm curious, what was your first job? And then how from that, and then you also mentioned, you try a few times to work at Amazon. So also maybe it's two separate questions, like what was your very first job or internship? And then how was the process of like trying and trying to get into Amazon?
So it's funny one, and maybe some people who's from like who like study abroad. So I used to bike when I was young to a car, the computer shop next to our house. I didn't have a car. I was young. I was still in high school, so I was bike, and I will help over there to set up computers, try to like formatting and installing, software or like doing something for people, and then just make extra money through it. When I went to United States to complete my study, I needed a social security number so I can will benefit me to issue credit card. I can get into housing and they do credit check on me. And they advised me to find a job within the campus. So you can get different jobs. You can go to the restaurant and get like some a job over there, or you can get a computer lab. And there were one of them was computer lab technician where you just help like filling paper, putting like printers. So I started making my resume, and at that time I used to, as I said, learn from the internet. I will just check and look what's going on, and my English at that time wasn't actually the best. I was still mid. I wasn't very good actually at speaking it. So it was finding a job at the computer lab was the best things. When I applied and they did the interview, they found that I have skills in programming and I know how to fix things. And I know I was advanced a little bit because I start early. They told me, well, you can actually move. There is another one where you can be as a consultant, creative consultant, that's called, which is if there's anyone have a website or you need students or faculties needed to do any project or they don't know how to switch from DVD to YouTube or switch something from old technology to new technology, I will help them out because I was a tech savvy. I loved like all the new technology. I always try to learn it, be first like adapter and enjoy it. So that was my first internships at the university. I was just helping people to set up their website, to convert old equipments, to adopt new technology, the Apple, the iPad. That was like in 2010. Like, how did they, the first came the iPad, they were like, how we can use it in class? Can I connect it to the projector? So it was new technology, but to emerge it in classrooms, that was the challenge that I was doing. That gave me a very good to interact with people that I actually use it all the time, which is the customers. They usually, you bring new technology to them and they don't know anything about it. You'll be the most expert who knows what's happening. So how do you deliver it? How do you accept their questions? Uh, how do you actually engage with them, understand their requirements, and try to solve their problem or try to find a new opportunity for them to either increase their productivity or decrease their spending and cost. These are things that it's always in mind, because when you talk with, even if it's someone in your family, it's your customer. You need to actually engage with them to understand what their needs, what they're looking for. So these kind of the skills that I stopped developing early age from actually my first internships. It's actually to listen, understand exactly where is their pain. So that was kind of like answer your first question. I think the second question was for like to get into Amazon, right? Yeah. So to get in Amazon, it was since I managed to get multiple domains of knowledge. So as I said, software development, infrastructure, and hosting, and how to actually host your website and building the infrastructure and working in data centers. And I did that while I was actually studying at the university. The second one, like the third one, was IoTs. I also involved in IoTs and smart technologies and embedded systems. That made actually I get very different domains. It made me like why I can actually understand different requirement for customers, and whenever they anyone knock on our door, I can understand their infrastructure, their needs, because each one of them, when you try to build it, it has a different journey, a different way to execute. So if you're working with hardware, it's completely different than you work with software. So getting my hand dirty in this and trying out and failing and succeeding and trying to just understand what this domain has, it made me more qualified to actually to be more appealing as a solution architect, to be actually you have the good domains. So it's kind of about your T shape, if anyone heard about, like you broaden either depth or breadth. So the more you have a breadth is good for you as a solution architect, because especially as a generalist, because you will get different domains, different inquiries from customers, because right now we have generative AI. It's new technology for everyone, even the people who sell in it. So you like ChatGPT or even generating like amazing images or something like that. All generatives AI in general. This even for the builders is new for us. So you have to know how to even position it with the customers, how to work with them, or how to work it even with yourself, how to utilize it, how to make it work for you. So
Yeah.
the more like, the more depth and breadth you have, the more you will succeed as a solution architect.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And it sounds like also we will talk about skills later in the conversation, but it sounds like curiosity was actually a big part of it. Like since you were a kid again, to like in your first internships in campus, you were just like working directly with the customers, and it was like curiosity to see like what works, what not, do they like it, and then now you're talking about like having like also like breadth
Yeah.
to like stay like I guess open to like this all these like new technologies. So I'm just like pointing that out, but we'll talk about soft skills as well. Um so I'm curious before going deeply into that, what is we haven't actually talked about like what is the day-to-day look like for a solutions architect? So
Oh,
what do you do on a daily basis? What is a solutions architect for people who might not know?
that's a good question. I think my daughter actually asked me the same thing. It's like, what do you do? And it was a little bit hard to explain, but to put it in simple form, um, my job is solution architect to be a consultant. a trusted advisor for non-technical people. So whatever domain that it's need to be requested or a knowledge that I need to know to advise, I have the ability and the tolerance to actually to learn it. So solution architects come from different backgrounds. I come from IoT and infrastructure and software development. So technically, I'm cloud solution architect, which is the services that we actually provide at AWS. So I'm an expert on them. At the same time, I'm an expert in software development in general and how softwares get built. This gives me the strength. Some of my colleagues actually come from database. So they know Oracle, they know Microsoft, SQL, they know Postgres, like open source, they know different type of databases, documented databases. Doesn't have to be like specific. So that's their strength, and that's what they bring and in the table when they speak to the customers. So they could be a specialist, and there's some specialists as a solution architect where they specialize in either an industry or in a domain. So they will be in the database field, and they know exactly what they're doing. So day to day for me, I will meet with customers. I will understand their requirements. They want to expand, or they have scalability issue, or they want to reduce the cost, or they have some security requirements, or they have some regulation requirements. Now I will have whatever the requirements that actually is evolving or needed, then I will present the solution to them either by service that we have, and it's already been someone else issue and we just kind of relate to it, or something we can provide as a POC and something that we can do it. Um, Usually, the relatable one that people understand is kind of the civil engineers when they want to build, let's say, a stadium or a hospital, and there is, let's say, there's a mountain next to it, and there's a river, and there's water coming, and there's like multiple streets coming, and he advised, and he knows the regulations, and he knows how to actually building the infrastructure and how much will cost and how long it takes. That you get it from actually try and error, and you actually study a lot. There's a lot of material that you need to know and understand and learn. And there's great resources that are available either like YouTube or like Blur Sites or A Cloud Guru or like Tutorial Dojo. There's like multiple websites and places, Udacity, Udemy, all these places, they will have like courses and things like explain either like the cloud in general as a services or explain like different specific development of like Python or web application or mobile application or IoTs. So I'm always learning, understanding the requirement and working backwards from that. So my day to day is it's not always planned. I will work with a customer that have a mobile application that I need to understand the requirement. They have issue with notification or something that is not working because of Apple new requirements. And the next day I'm walking with someone need data warehouse and they need to build their analytical dashboards and they need to build their business intelligence and how they actually get the benefit and they be data driven and get some things. It's sounded overwhelming, but it's not. When you actually put the time and you take it piece by piece, you will build up. After a while, you will be an expert in multiple domains. But you start with one, easy until you get very expert on it, then you move to the next one. Generative AI for me last year was brand new. I have already like 16, 17 years an experience in different field, but Gen AI was completely new and I had to like sit and learn and buy books and listen to podcasts and find the material uh, to do it. So to sum up, I 30%, 40% is learning, always learning, and the rest of actually providing solution to the customer.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I hope your daughter also like was able to understand. But I think that was a pretty clear explanation. And it just sounds
She called me the fixer. I told her I fixed
the
things.
fixer.
Yeah, so she's
And
like,
and people
thing.
say like if you cannot explain, I mean, we don't know the age of your daughter, but like people usually say like if you cannot explain something to a 5 year old or like a 80 years old, then you
Yeah,
don't actually know the explanation.
she's
So
seven and
you
a half.
actually
Yeah, she's an half,
seven
seven.
and a half.
You understand? I'm a fixer. I fix things. That's exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And no, and it sounds like it's never like boring because it's never the same. So
No.
because you don't and you can actually not expect, I mean you might have already like a list of like the most common like problems or like things you're used to, but then you cannot expect what a user or client is going to come up the next day. So you just have to be open and alert and like be able open to learn if you don't have the solutions right away. Um, so I feel like that's really a fantastic like day to day.
It is. It is. I enjoy it so much, to be honest, because every day there is something new and it fills my curiosity, as you said, like in the beginning. I'm a curious person. I love to learn. I love to discover things. So whenever it's something new come to me, it's like new day, new challenge. I enjoy just searching, Googling, looking around, like searching documentation, asking people until I come up with the right best practice solution that advises
Yeah,
to the customer.
yeah. And are there now moving a little bit to like the actual skills a person might need to follow a career path like this? Do you have any soft skills that you think are really important to be able to thrive in as a solutions architect?
So I think listening to customers is important skills. So having active listening and making sure that you listen to the customer well, address their needs, and do not jump to conclusion right away. Uh, Sometimes we tend as especially if you're in the field of engineers, we like to tend to jump right away to solutions. We see it, we know it's actually over there, we jump concluded right away. uh, so one of the things is troubleshooting and problem solving and understanding the customer and listening, even if it's someone of if your family member or if your friend or if you actually a student, a fellow students or anyone that you interact with, this is a person you need to at least like listen carefully, understand they're actually what they're looking for, and don't jump to the how right away. Sometimes people will drive into the how, which is like the solution, but sometimes you need to work on the why. Why does actually they need it? Uh, there's always an example they tell. I think like two nations. One was they went to the space and they wanted some because gravity didn't pull the ink from the pen. They spent millions of dollars like coming up with different ink for the pen so they can draw like you can use it in space because gravity is not there. But the other nation went and says, oh, okay, so you need something to work, but it doesn't have issue with gravity. So they use pencils. So you can see sometimes it's easier. They save so much. It's much faster to instead of actually going and digging in the problem. So having problem solving skills, understanding and breaking things into small parts and working on them and try to progress. It's something that I learned during the way because its solution is not always 100% is complete. Like it doesn't have to be 100% to answer any issue. Sometimes people 80, 70% will be enough. So setting the expectation, understanding the requirement, working from these requirements and kind of like understand why they need to do this, define the why very well. Then you can actually work on the how, uh, and also working how to present the how. It's like not just one solution, especially with technology. There's always ways to solve one problem. It's not just one direction to do it. So having presentation skills, trying to form how do you actually put in a solution or engaging with someone to understand is very keen information. We see great engineers, we see great solution architects, but when it comes to communication and actually have the proper way to communicate, it differentiate them from their peers significantly. I can see it right now when we do feedback, peer feedbacks, when customers even give us feedbacks, if the skills of socializing, understanding, and being friendly with the customer and knowing exactly how to present, it's a huge differentiator. You don't have to be overwhelming. You don't have to be too much of talkative or try to impress. No, it's just actually addressing, knowing how to pause, how to speak. So this is one of the major like soft skills that is much needed in the tech industry, especially for engineers.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I always like to ask, especially when we're talking with experts in like technical roles or like tech companies, to ask about the soft skills, because like, and we can deep dive also on technical skills because some people have questions about it, which is, I mean, you need them. But many times we oversee the soft skills because maybe we think when we're still in college that we will be just like working with the technology and not so much with the clients and it depends on the role. But you will always be, even if you're not working with clients or like with external people, you will be communicating things internally to coworkers who don't understand anything about tech. So you will still need that skill to be able to communicate and to collaborate. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah.
And now like passing, and maybe this is a little more difficult because again it depends on the company you're working in or the role you're applying to, but like, do you have any list or do you have like a core set of skills, technical skills that you think college students should be like thinking about developing, about learning?
Yeah, for look, one of the things that people um, just don't like to get into is networking, especially if you're, because everything here is about network. Like the internet is, it's a bunch of computers communicate together. So if you don't understand networking, how it is actually working, the protocols, how do you define a network? How do you work with it? Where's the internet? How is actually communicating? How people reach to your infrastructure? Even if it's your small mobile, how there's actually communication happening. I've seen a lot of actually lately recent graduate, oh, when you speak with them with networking, they will be like, oh, I don't know what is networking. No, it's too much. I don't know. I try to not tend to that. I'm not saying that you need to be practical, like to do setup, configuration, but at least understand the high level, understand the level of actually the internet, like the frameworks of like how the levels actually sectioned. I forgot the terminology for it. Uh, these the things, the fundamentals that need to be understood. If you know them, they will help you so much to put things together. That's number one. The second one is knowing how things works and not just relying on black box. What I mean a black box is you understand, let's say, a technology like how Python works, but you don't know like exactly how the thing's actually compiling, how to communicating with the CPU, how is putting things in memory, how retrieving things from memory, put in the storage, how to communicate with storage. Because if you understand the fundamental of it and you paid attention in school, you'll be fine. But if you don't, at least brush up your, just read about it, understand how things works, especially if you rely on some of the technology over there. Some people will say, oh, I learned programming by using like Firebase. This is as a product. You need to understand how the things behind it actually get together. That's solution architect things that you need to understand these building blocks, how they get together and actually get glued and get some bigger picture. So this, the second that I see the most, people rely on just one technology, like, okay, I know how to like develop like using Flutter, like Flutter in iOS or like an Android, like as a cross application to development. Does he know exactly how this actually works, exactly understanding how the operating system communicate with the application? There's something that you need, especially if you want to advance. If you say that's enough for me to understand to get by, you will get jobs. You will go, but you're not going to go far. You'll be limited always, whatever you get fed in the in the product or the company that actually sponsored this technology. So don't rely always on just one technology. People that who thought, um, you know, that I will give an example, like people that thought like Nokia or like the cell phones that actually these the one will be amazing and they open shops to them. Android and iPhone came and replaced a lot of things. Taxi drivers that thought, oh, with the taxi people hauling, Uber came and replaced them. So some of these technologies sometimes, especially if you rely on them in your career, you get swapped easily with something else because if this company fighting to sell a product and you actually be supporting this product and you be an expert with it, there is 10 other companies are competing to get them out of the market. So you need to be careful when you actually spend your time with these. So try to be technology agnostic, if I can say. Try to adopt different field in technology. Third one is actually security, which is we hear a lot about like cybersecurity, and you need to understand security and you need how to protect your information, you protect your data. But when it comes to asking simple encryption, how actually authentication works, how SSL certificate works, the simple questions, people tend to say, like, oh, I don't know. I ask a lot of when the interview question is like, if I do HTTPS Amazon.com, what happens? What exactly is happening between the browser and the server? Or like, what's the communication happening? What's the encryption is actually happening here? We get a lot of people don't know how to answer this one, which is, if you're in this industry, you must know. It's a something that you need to know and you have to know it back of your hand. So
Yeah.
these are the three that I see that a lot of like recent graduate people just entering for these. It's still don't spend the time or try to even when they graduate, they don't actually learn learn it and understand it or even search it and have it in their knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I just share, to not forget until the end of the session, I just share a link for everyone on the call. And if you're watching the recording, you can just click on the Amazon organizational page inside Localize. But we do have some job openings in Amazon only for 3 countries right now, but more to come. So if you're based in any of these countries, I suggest you go ahead and apply. And if you're not, again, we have more to come, or also you can like check on the jobs tab more options. I just wanted to do that commercial before we continue and forget about this important part. But thank you so much. I think that was an excellent summary of both soft skills and hard skills or like technical skills. So people can actually, if you're still in college or if you're just graduating, you can actually, I'm sure you have some of these skills. And if not, you can start thinking to develop them or to learn them and actually communicate them on your applications, on your CV, or on any application document, or portfolio if they ask for a portfolio. So yeah, this is just for everyone to start thinking about it. And then I would like to move a little bit to back in your journey when you were just graduating from computer science, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, yes.
So I guess like for people studying computer science, which I guess there are a few here or who will be watching the recording, um, what are some of the different and pathways that a person who graduates from computer science can take on? Like apart from, we already know your journey, but maybe when you were just graduating, you had like different options where to go. So what are some of the different pathways that a person graduating from this can take?
It's computer science is a great major to be in because it'll open like 200 like jobs. There's like so many options to be honest to go with. But go back to you as a person. Are you a problem solver? Do you like to solve problems? Do you like to innovate? Do you enjoy actually troubleshooting? Are you kind of the person that if there's something that doesn't work, you'll stay hours trying to fix it and figure it out and look and try to always like till it's actually, and you get satisfied and you enjoy this, that's when you go to the builder field. And the builder field has different roles. Either you could be a software developer, you can be a quality controller, you can be in the cybersecurity, you could be in the operation part where you do like deployment and handle infrastructure. So there is the builder, whatever, it's behind the scene things, how to actually work. So this, if you enjoy these things and you don't mind, being stuck in something to do for a while until you learn it, that's a great path to actually to take. There's so many jobs, probably 100 jobs in this field, being as a builder and to build whatever it needed in software, hardware, to use some of the software is already there to build another software. So that's like the path as a builder. The other path, which is the business side, where you'll be in a business analyst, business development, which is it's you sit between the business development and understanding the requirement, interacting with the customers, knowing exactly what the customer needs, and communicating with the actual builders. So you know they're both language. So you have a little bit of business and you understand how to communicate with the builders exactly what you need. So that's in the middle, and that's a role that is a business analyst, product manager, a product owner, UX, UI. These mostly actually sit in between, whereas you have a 50% business, you do problem solving, you do solutions that actually related tied to business outcomes. And you need to have builders or technical people, engineers to do the solution or to provide the product. So that's like this like a kind of second option or second way to do it. And there's multiple job roles that rely like and sit in this place. And this usually people tend to migrate to it, like switch to it. So they will start as a programmer, they will start as an engineer or something, then they will understand how things actually works, how this industry actually works. Then they will switch to this role. Then they will start actually because they already have some experience that actually help them. They will learn the other side on the product or like how to actually work with the business. So this is kind of the second kind of path. The third path is to just catch a wave, which is say people say now AI is the thing, right? And used to be couple of years ago is big data, and they talk about like blockchain, and before that it was IoTs, and some of it now is matured and some of it is still. So that's if you're a recent graduate, you can go to the latest technology or latest ones that actually then you can jump to it right away and start to be on a pioneer, to be in the front, because you can compete with even the people that have most experience in it because they're all beginners. I have 17 years experience in the field, but in this subject, I'm still new. So these together will be the same, and we'll be competing almost in the same jobs and things that will be much easier. It will be hard to get a job for it because it's still developing. So it will relies on you so much that you look for the material, you look for the people that will provide, you follow them on Twitter, you try to find if there's published books, if there is materials online that you can provide, you can access, you go for it and you try to catch it and learn it. So these are the three kind of paths I can say that whoever graduated from computer science can do it, either to be in the business 50-50, the business outcomes, you understand it, you can translate it to the builders and the engineers. The other side is like to be part of this community of the builders. It's amazing. You learn a lot of things. There's so much things they can do. There's a lot of job roles in software development, in infrastructure, to be in a specific fields, either like data scientist or to be an engineer of some operation, either like understanding SRE, which is like site reliability engineers. These all still that has like risk factor, There's a lot of things to do it though. These the three. Depends on your personality and the things that you wanted to do and how much time and how much you want actually to put in.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was a great approach on how to actually select which pathway you want to take on, depending on what you like and the personality. So thank you for that. And while you were sharing that, I also remember about a few events we had. So giving more resources for people who might still be unsure. We just had an event, so you can watch the recording about another expert at Amazon, but in Amazon USA, who's working with drones. So it's more technical. He started building the drones, now he's testing them. So in case you're interested more in that part, we have that event. And when you mention maybe just like catch the wave, we will have an event. This is until June, but you can go ahead and register to like receive the reminders. We will have an event with an expert in data and AI. So if you're interested in that or you're still unsure, again, you can watch these recordings or attend these events to like start gathering these pieces of information and then make an informed decision based on what you like. So I know we're on the last minutes of the session, so I will start taking some of the questions from the attendees. If you haven't sent your questions, this is the moment. So send your questions in the chat or in the Q&A. And I will start with, give me a second. Yeah, so we have a question from Kumar on the chat. So they're sharing that, well, first of all, they're sharing they're coming from Northeastern University, Boston. Thank you for that. In case you want to connect with Abdullah, you can go ahead and do that through the QR code or just going directly to the link. So yeah, coming back to the question. So they're asking if they need any type of certification to become a solutions architect or any specific learning path that they have to take.
Yeah, so for especially in AWS, there is multiple certification. We have around 12 certification. And the beginner, the foundational one is the cloud practitioner certificate. This will give you what exactly the cloud, what do you need to understand it. We have, this one is for technical and non-technical people. It just give them exactly what the things, how actually things get built, how things connected together, what's exactly the service that actually, or not just the service, what is exactly the cloud, what's the benefit from it, from business perspective and from technical perspective. So that's the foundational one. It's free. You can go and you can get some certification. There's a lot of actually coupons and programs for the discounted. So the material is free, but the testing, you can actually get very good coupons and promotion codes. The second one that I always, there's a AWS Solution Architect Associate, which is kind of also give you the foundation of in depth, let's say 200 level. So if you remember in university, you start with 100 level, 200 level, 300 level. Then before you graduate, you are in the 400 level, like finishing, which is like the difficulties. So the certification that we have in two tiers, either associate, which is like kind of 100 and 200 level. Then we have the professional, which is 300 to 400. The most common and needed in actually, and it's always looked for, is the associate. So AWS associate is very well respectful and known certificate, and that helps a lot of people to actually to land jobs. And it's a lot of companies, especially if they work with AWS, they will require it. There is some other also certification if you want to work in product management, and some of it needs prior experience, like the PMP, that after 2 years of working, you can do it. There's multiple ones that it's very good if you actually working in product management or project management and you're trying to be in the middle. not the builder, but you're actually in the business in the middle, that actually to do it. So for builder, you got either data, we have like the AWS data certificate, we have the security one, we have also the DevOps, which is the development and the operation, which is something that recently started becoming a major role in every organization, which is look for the infrastructure, the deployment, how the status and the health of the applications. So these are the certificate. There's a great website, it's called Skills Builder, .aws. This is amazing website. It has a lot of materials in different languages that you can check out. It give you different paths. So if you're looking for to be an expert in data, it will give you a path to actually either for the certificate or different material that actually you can learn from. If you're looking to be expert in cybersecurity, there's a path for that. If you want to be expert, a generalist, you want to know most, there's an expert about the solution architect. So skillsbuilder.aws is an amazing website that you can check from and learn a lot.
There's, I don't know if you already read the questions on the Q&A function, but you just touch upon many points that are actually mentioned there. So I think
Okay.
it's really, you haven't?
I haven't checked it. I'm trying to get
Oh,
it.
wow. So it was just, I mean, it was interesting how you were talking about it because I will still read the questions, but you kind of already answered three of them at the same time without
Okay, that's
knowing.
good. That's good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna still share in case you have like more deep like insights on the specific topics. But like for example, Israel was asking if how can they combine a project manager maybe career with a solutions architect. So how can that overlap? And you started mentioning like take it like you started mentioning some of the certificates from the project management institute.
Yeah, so I worked as
So
software delivery as project. I was a technical delivery manager, which is like sometimes called TPM, technical product manager. When you look for the business outcomes, but you're still communicating with the technical people. And I was a portfolio manager. I had like around 90 people that worked with me. Um, and it was a lot of people, different roles, different people. It starts slow. You need to be either coordinator, like you work in a small project, and especially if you're just early career, check your graduation project. Anyone working computer science or working engineers, it is always a graduation project. Some of it will stay maybe like about 1 year or 2 year, depends on the university. Some of them just do it for the last semester. So put yourself into being the coordinator, because coordinator and project manager, it's not an easy. You need to have people skills. You need to understand how long they will take things, how if they're bluffing or not, if they're gonna do it, deliver or not, if they're lazy or not, if they are you okay with nagging them multiple times or not. So this is you need to do that, and especially if you're with a couple people that you already spent 3-4 years with, you probably know them. You have interacted, took classes with them, so you understand and you have a little bit background about them. So start with your project, take the rules, and try to rotate this, be in the receiving side and the giving side at the same time. So you'll be managed, and at the same time you manage people. So this is to be in the middle and to be in a project manager. It's a great job. It has a lot of it has its own share of pressure and ambiguity and things that you have to learn and pick up on the way. But you need to start for small projects, try to understand it. There's a lot of materials about the PMP, like about building, like, the tasks, how do you start, how do you do break things down to small tasks, how to put estimation on them, how to identify your critical path until you actually deliver and close the project or the product or wherever the phase you're working on.
great, thank you. Thank you so much. And there's another question. Well, Omar was sharing on the Q&A that he graduated from university. Well, he will graduate from university, and he's sharing the background. He finished an AWS scholarship on machine learning. And during this course, someone advised on to take the pathway to become a solutions architect. So he's like actually already on the AWS skill builder website that you mentioned. So he's like already building those skills related to cloud computing. So this is the context to ask the question, if you think these skills are enough to become a solutions architect, or if there's something else he has to think about while still in college. And then any advice on how to build real world project for experience, I guess, for when he's applying to jobs.
Well, one way, it's my favorite way to learn, to be honest, is actually I go to the GitHub and look for the repositories that has a lot of stars of open source application. So maybe it's Java or .NET or any application. And I will follow exactly how they actually deployed this application. I'll see like the how to deploy it, how to install it, and I will try to do that. It showed me that exactly how, especially if it's been used a lot and I know a lot of customer use it, or I need to know it because there's multiple people that use this ARP or use this system. So for me, it was easier to just go to these projects and GitHub and clone them and try to deploy them or try to run them on my machine and try to just mess around, see how these things works. If the open source is there, I'll try to build it. I'll try to change things that I need to change for myself and see how they build it. Just look at the source code, see what exactly is over there. There is so many open source projects, and it's easy to actually to just open them up, just see the source code, what exactly is over there, and try to just deploy it. As simple as that. It doesn't have to be very complicated. If it's Dockerized or containerized, try to deploy it on container and see if you can get it all the way to a live environment that you can actually access. So doing that, along the way, you will have so many issues. You will have to learn about permissions. You have to learn about accessibility, how to deploy. You have to learn about operating system. You will have to learn about a lot of things, how compiles works, how pipelines works. There's a lot of things that you will be start discovering that you don't know, and during this way you will learn. So if you don't have an actual thing to do, just look for something that's already been built and there's a community that is working, and you just take it and try to deploy it and change with it, see how it's actually work. If you're good at Java, look for a project that's actually Java based. If you know Python, look for Python based application. If you know Go, if you know like PHP, if whatever language that you're comfortable with, try to take it and build something. If you want to do mobile, the same thing is actually available. So these are the things that you can take. It's already been working. Usually it's doesn't have a lot of issue, so it's easier for actually to deploy it and understand it.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that answers also Greenfield's question on the chat. So just flagging that out, Greenfield, this advice also applies to your question about stand-up projects to help land an interview or to practice. Yes, so I cannot believe we're actually approached the end of the session, not approaching. But I just want to thank you so much again for your time, for the great advice that you have given during the session. And there's a few thank yous for you on the chat.
Oh,
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah,
I have I don't know if you still, it's actually see, please approach me on LinkedIn, ask me any question if you have now or later. I get a lot of people to reach out. I'm always happy to even look to people whenever it's needed, especially if they need interview tips, things that they didn't know, whatever it's needed to help. I'm happy to always help the people in the community.
thank you. Thank you so much. And just before we go, for people who didn't know, the background is his background is from this TV show that was really famous a few years back. It was really popular in the US. I think the original version is from the UK actually.
Exactly.
But it's just a comedy show called The Office. So if you're someday you're bored, you can watch that and I'm sure you will have some laughs. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that before we go. But thank you again so much. And I hope to see everyone again in another localized session. And don't forget to connect with him, but also like to follow all of the resources I was sharing during the conversation on the chat. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to a localized staff member on the platform. So thank you again, everyone. And thank you, Abdullah, for your time.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.